Hi guys, hope everyone's well today. So let me start off by first making a small request. In case you're fond of these videos that I'm making, if you like them, please do press the like button. Subscribe to our channel. That's the most important. And share the videos with your friends, with family. So these sort of videos and this sort of information and the opinion that I'm sharing with you can reach a wider audience, right? So thank you. Today's video, I basically we are talking about everybody knows Donald J. Trump was elected as the next POTUS, the next president of the United States. So is it a good thing for you? Is it good news for you as a market participant, or a bad thing? Not sure. Well, meaning first starting off with a disclaimer that I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not telling you what you should be doing. Not advising you on anything. I'm basically just putting forward and putting forth my opinion and what I think uh, is going to happen with economies, with the stock markets, with this election of Donald Trump as the president. It's up to you and what you decide with your money and with your investments, right? So let's start off with talking about meaning is it good news or is it bad news? Especially if you are a market participant, you're actively investing into your own economy, your own stock markets. Firstly, just to understand, I think this is not only applicable for Indians, but should also be applicable to most of the other countries out there. That there is a direct correlation between the US stock markets, US financial markets, with Indian markets, with other country markets, uh, meaning with a lot of emerging markets and economies. So I think everybody should be updated with what is happening and should have an opinion and should think about what could happen to their investment, to their portfolio. So let's start with meaning knowing or assuming, expecting what might happen to our own stock markets and to our country's stock markets with Donald Trump being elected as the president of the United States. So I think, firstly, meaning from his first term, we all know that Donald Trump was in favor of tax cuts. He's quite a hardcore business sort of a guy. He believes in giving tax reliefs, which he did in his first term as well, both to corporates. He gave corporate tax cuts. He also, to some extent, gave some amount of personal tax relief also to individuals and to the Americans. Is that a good thing? I think yes, it's a good thing for companies, for Americans, meaning it's also people of Indian origin or people of any other origin who are starting to do businesses in the US, who've already been doing businesses in the US, meaning with tax cuts and all that, it's always beneficial to them. There are a lot of Indian IT companies which are doing a lot of business in the American market and in the American economy. And I think these sort of corporate tax would be extremely beneficial to IT companies, especially Indian IT companies and various other IT companies which operate out of the US. There could be a slight issue for anybody other than Americans. And why do I say that? Is basically because we know that Donald Trump believes in the concept of make America great again, America first. Of course, it should be. He's the president of that country. But how does it impact you and me, or anybody who's a non-American? meaning there is he also got into a lot of trade wars and trade arguments with other countries during his first term. China was an example. I think there were a lot of trade. There was a lot of trade happening prior to his first term between China and the US, and those sort of reduced. There were a lot of. There could be during his next term, coming up term, there could be a lot of trade regulations tightening, and various countries and trades with America could be impacted. So that's also something to keep in mind. Now let's touch upon the point that what we know of Donald Trump, right? So Donald Trump basically, one is he's been a businessman. He's basically, I think, into the business of real estate. He's a real estate guy, right? So what he is in favor of, and we've noticed during his first term also, is that he does not mind taking on a lot of debt to expand businesses. He puts a lot of emphasis and a lot of money into building infrastructure, into building real estate, those sort of things. So what we can expect probably that will happen in the next coming up term for him would be that probably the US debt levels would start increasing again than what they currently are. What would that mean? With debts and debt level increasing for a country comes the point of inflation picking up. Inflation would pick up in the US, inflation would pick up in various other countries as well. It would seep down to other countries also. It would be kind of a global inflation scenario, and so you can expect that, meaning your expense of living, way of living would start going up. Debt levels in the US would increase, and with all that money which basically comes into the government, I think he and his government's emphasis would be on expanding infrastructure, real estate, and all those things. So you could also say that real estate companies involved with infrastructure building and all that, those will start doing really well, at least in the US. The next point that I wanted to highlight was that Donald Trump was and is a big believer in of cryptocurrencies. I think it's cryptocurrencies is somewhat like a taboo to a lot of people, but I'm just putting it out there that that's what we've seen and observed about President Donald Trump, is that he's a big believer in cryptocurrencies. During his first term, he supported legalizing and basically cryptocurrency payments and those sort of things in the US, at least a lot. And you can also assume that in his next term, he will be in favor of cryptocurrencies. And I think knowing that, cryptocurrency prices have already started picking up, have already started rising. Meaning right now, Bitcoin price is at an all-time high, and it's not only today or yesterday. It's been meaning cryptocurrency prices and Bitcoin rates have been picking up since the time everybody or most of the people expected Donald Trump to win this election versus Kamala Harris. So even going forward, you could probably safely assume that if you have any holdings of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoins, Ethereums, those sort of currencies, digital currencies, you should expect prices of those currencies to really appreciate quite rapidly. Now, meaning on this, I would just like to highlight that this is no investment advice in Bitcoins and in Ethereums and in cryptocurrencies. As I put forward my disclaimer early on, meaning this is just that I'm just putting out my opinion about cryptocurrencies and about what I think would probably happen going forward in his next term as president. Next thing, meaning some of you probably might not be aware, most might be, that even during his first term, he was kind of opposed to the idea of free healthcare or subsidized healthcare. He was anti-Obamacare, the health insurance plan which is out there in the US. Not a lot of common American citizens to get the benefit of a lot of health insurance and those sort of things. So probably it's all again very safe to assume that going forward now in his next term, he would kind of push towards more and more people relying on private healthcare and insurance as compared to these sort of plans and the government healthcare plans that have been put out there at the moment. People who are invested into healthcare stocks, people who are invested into insurance stocks, I would think that that is an area, that is a sector where people would notice an appreciation of their stock prices very soon after he comes and takes office. One big drawback, especially for Indian investors, if you are 100% invested only within your country, within your stock market, within the Indian stock market, it could be that you might find that your portfolio is not doing that well like it has been doing. The reason could be is because the American economy taking on all that debt and with the emphasis on infrastructure and on various things, trade regulations and those sort of things, you could see the dollar appreciating, US dollar appreciating quite quickly, and that would mean that your own currency, so for us the Indian currency, the INR, you would probably see depreciation of the Indian currency quite quickly as compared to the US dollar. And as I mentioned, that it would also mean that your stocks, your portfolio of stocks, if you are wholly invested into the Indian market, would probably not be doing that great going forward. Meaning what's the kind of counter, what can you do, especially as an Indian retail investor, knowing these sort of things and knowing these sort of facts about Donald Trump and how his administration, how his government is going to function going forward in the next term. You could consider making changes to your own portfolio. I think if you are completely invested into equities, you could consider moving part of your portfolio towards fixed assets, towards commodities, towards precious metals. I would think that, and again, it's not an advice, not an investment advice, but I would think that precious metals like gold, silver, at least in India, would do really well as opposed to equities, mutual funds, shares, and those sort of things. So you could look at basically diversifying in those sectors, and of course, lastly, what I want to highlight is that I'm a very big believer of thorough geographical diversification of your portfolio, of your investment portfolio. I keep suggesting that to everybody I speak to as well. So perhaps what you can consider and strongly consider is diversifying your portfolio to other international markets and look at other stock markets, international equities, US, meaning if you expect that with Donald Trump being elected, the economy of the US economy will really flourish and the stock markets there would do really well, then you can probably consider moving some part of your portfolio into that market, or probably other sort of matured markets as well. I think what would take a hit is emerging markets and stock markets of emerging countries, that is probably those are areas which probably might not flourish if they have been right now. Uh, how can you do that? How can you invest into international markets and into the US economy and into the US stock market and all that? Well, there are various ways. I don't want to talk about it more in detail, but right now, meaning I have already started conducting a lot of courses on how to invest in fixed assets, into gold, silver, into other global markets, into the US market. So that's where I teach and I talk about all these things much more in detail. So yeah, that's about all that I have for today. Meaning, if I will just repeat what I said early on in this video, that if you really think that, meaning I have enlightened you quite a lot with some knowledge about the next POTUS and about the various economies and the various stock markets, then do press the like button, comment, of course, if you have any comments. Subscribe to our channel. That's the main thing. Please subscribe. You will get notifications as and when there are posts that I put out, there are videos that I put out, and of course share these YouTube videos that I make with your family, with your friends, meaning that sort of encourages me to make much more in the future, right? So yeah, that's all I have today. Thank you very much. Take care. Happy investing. All the best.